560 The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, building on the discussions we've been having all morning about Operation Epic Fury, of course, one of the immediate questions, and it was batted around on some of the Sunday talkies, if there were to be regime change, if the popular revolt were able to topple the regime in its current constitution, well, then what would come next? Here was Senator Tom Cotton weighing in on that question with the noxious, intolerable Maggie Brennan on Face the Nation.
Iran does have a vast missile arsenal, and that's going to be the priority objective for this military campaign. It is destroying that arsenal that threatened American troops from bases as far-flung as the Indian Ocean to Western Europe. And making
Many
sure
of those
that
are being fired right now.
As far as the future, well, we're stopping a lot of them from being fired before Iran can fire them. It's much easier to kill the archer on the ground than it is to shoot his arrows out of the sky. As far as the long-term future of Iran's government, Secretary Rubio is right. I don't think anyone can give you a simple answer. There's probably a lot of jockeying inside of Iran right now. They have a very consultative, deliberative process to replace the supreme leader. There's a reason why he didn't want to have a clear succession plan in place. It's hard to do that when the United States is pummeling their leadership every moment of the day. I'm sure, though, that there are also some leaders inside of Iran who might be jockeying to audition for the role of Iran's Delcy Rodriguez.
The role of Iran's Delcy Rodriguez, well, and then the natural follow-up question is that sounds like slow-moving regime change. I don't know if a popular revolt fells this current regime, if a Delcy Rodriguez sort of transition figure will be enough. But it seems like the person who has emerged, we'll get a review on this shortly, the person that's emerged, because he's the one making the typical death to America threats, is Ali Larijani, who is the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, saying of the U.S. and Israel, they burn the heart of the Iranian nation. We will now burn their hearts as well. Okay. Of course, Shah's son in exile, Reza Pahlavi, is basically saying, as he was during the protests in January after the strike on the nuclear program last June, that he is the transition to Iran's tomorrow, and he said so again on Bartiromo show this weekend.
Well, Maria, this is time now for a very strong, stable transition. I am leading this transition. I have the support of millions of Iranian people. I have the people inside the country that are joining and broadening the coalition of forces that will be at play in filling the boxes. The military will side with us, and we have a plan of action and a transition plan.
Yeah, maybe, although there seems to be real doubt as to just exactly how broad the support that Pahlavi enjoys really is. He is trying to ingratiate himself to Trump, no doubt, with this comment.
You know, the president says MAGA. We say MAGA, make Iran great again. And in that sense, I think that a different Iran that now will be at peace with the region, work with our neighbors, will bring an element of stability, will be good for American national security, but most importantly, an opportunity to be successful in terms of economic growth and what have you. Just by a change that we hope to bring to the table, that will be probably over $1 trillion worth of impact and revenue to the American economy just by Iran's market being open to America, and how much we stand to benefit from billions of dollars willing to be invested into Iran. All that was needed was for this regime to no longer be there. And I think that is something that should be important to America and Iran both.
For more on this, please be joined by Stephen Bucci, served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now visiting fellow at Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me back on the show, and obviously you got lots to talk about this morning.
Yeah, so, the prospect, I know it's early, but the prospect that you could actually have a real paradigm shift in Tehran, and is there any sort of obvious player or individual that emerges in your mind, or we hope should? Is it Pahlavi? Is it somebody else? Do we know?
Well, I can tell you, I seriously doubt it's the secretary of the National Security Council that you talked about. He's still doing the Death to America thing and talking the typical, Iranian bluster.
Well, he may not make it to the other side either. I mean, exactly. I'm not talking about him. Yeah,
he's kind of on the next list. So, but that solution, that Mullah light kind of thing, is a possibility. I don't think that's going to be a possibility that's acceptable to the Iranian people. You might get a group like that to say, okay, we'll get rid of the nuclear enrichment, we'll get rid of the ballistic missiles, we'll stop funding terrorism around the world. But those guys, I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. And I don't think the Iranian people will either. So then you move to the next set of options. The Crown Prince is one, but we saw it during the operations in Iraq that the draw of the expats sounds really well, briefs really well, but isn't always what the people inside the country are looking for. So it may turn out that the people embrace him, they love him, and he's the man, but that is still definitely remains to be seen kind of situation. So that leaves something in the middle, some unnamed guy from inside the country that stands up. The people in the country rally around him, and they demand some sort of democratic structure to replace what the monarchy they had before and the crazy Mullah regime that they've been living under for the last 50 plus years, or almost 50 years.
And we can we can be certain that this has all been game planned out by Intel. They're obviously not going to disclose who they prefer or what they think, how they think this could go, because they don't want to look like they're installing somebody there. It's got to be something that comes from the people up, not from America over, right?
Yeah, even more so than in Venezuela. Venezuela, is a different level of operation. We took out Maduro in Venezuela, and some of his military guys. We didn't do anything near what we're doing in Iran right now, and it was a very different situation. So they're going to the successor in place kind of thing. That made some degree of sense for now. We're still working with that. We still got our thumb on them to try and change it. With Iran, I don't think that's going to be acceptable. We have to have a new government to make this work. And it can't be one that's just, the mullahs take off their robes and put on a tie.
Yeah, right.
I don't think that's going to cut it. And I think the Iranian people, even whatever the intel community thinks is going to happen, it's probably not it. It's going to be something else. It's probably going to be a person that we did not anticipate, but hopefully somebody who can convince his people, I have your interests at heart. I'm going to work with people that are good to us, and I'm going to fight against people that would harm you. And that kind of message will resonate with the frankly very educated, very in many cases sophisticated population of Iran who want normality. And haven't had that.
And part of that, I would expect, as we were talking about last hour with David Dowd from Foundation for Defense of Democracies, would be for this new government a decoupling from China. I mean, you can't have the Chinese doing supersonic missile deals and propping up their crude oil industry if you're going to be aligned with America in the West.
That's right. And I think they realize they don't have to do those kind of things if they're not spending all of their money funding terrorism around the world, building intercontinental ballistic missiles they don't need, because you can't really use those to deliver, nice carpets and stuff like that around the world. And for sure don't need, nuclear weaponry. Now, having nuclear power, okay, if they want that, we were trying to set up that kind of deal with them.
Yeah.
It gets enriched outside the country. It gets delivered to them. They run it in their power plants. They don't really need that. They got oil to use. But if they suddenly became part of the Green Coalition, and they want somebody else to take all that dirty oil, that can probably be accommodated around the world. That would have the effect of putting China back in its place, but also would draw funding and support away from Russia. So, a lot of good things can happen here. They just have to, find a leader who's willing to make the deals to do that. And it doesn't mean we need somebody to be a toady to America or to Donald Trump. We need somebody who can manage that country and make it a legitimate, contributor in the international space.
So if this campaign is sustained for the next 4 weeks, as Trump has indicated, do you have any doubt that we're going to get regime change there?
I think we will. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see the Mullahs light stay in power. That's just I don't believe so. Particularly if it goes 4 weeks. We've obviously shown the inclination, the Israelis for sure have, that we want to go beyond that. This is not a punitive raid where you just knock down some structures and some headquarters, take out a few missile facilities, and then walk away when they can still rebuild it all. This is going to be pulling the root here with the leadership, with those capacities that, frankly, the country doesn't need and the rest of us see as a threat, and some sort of governmental structure that's willing to play nicely with its neighbors and the rest of the world.
Have you been surprised by the Iranian retaliation? I mean, it strikes me, all things considered, as rather anemic.
It's anemic, but it's also kind of like the death throes. This was clearly something that was on the books. Okay, if they get the supreme leader and the other leadership, this is what you guys should do, lower level commanders. Here's the plan. And it's not terribly effective. They're using up missiles they have very quickly to very little effect, other than in the eyes of some of the news people in America who are like, oh, my God, they hit a building. Well, nobody was hurt. Oh, but they hit a building. Calm down.
Right.
This is not a coordinated, comprehensive, retaliatory campaign. This is, oh, my God, we're in trouble. Start pushing the buttons. And I think that was already set. And again, it was set, but not terribly effectively. Which, to be honest with you, is not surprising because they lost a ton of that capacity, which wasn't really effective then during the 12-day war with Israel. And now they're just doing more of it. So I think that's going to peter out here shortly as people say, you know what, I really didn't like these guys anyway, and walk away. And the fact that just logistically, they're going to start running out of Schlitz. And that's going to, bring this thing to a conclusion quickly, particularly as every time one of those launchers rolls out and starts to elevate its erector, that somebody takes it out. We've got air dominance there, us and the Israelis. We can basically plink whatever we want to in there.
That's what
have, AWACS over it finding this stuff and then taking it out. So I'm not sure it's going to last 4 weeks. I'd like to see it go less.
Sure. That's what Cotton was referring to as, taking out the archers rather than the arrows. That's what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. The response from, the reflexively anti-Trump, noted Russia collusion propagandist Adam Schiff. This is the position that basically congressional neo-Marxists have landed on. This is what he said to Clinton Foundation donor Zero on his little show.
The Ayatollah Khamenei led a regime that brutalized its own people, launched attacks around the world for almost 40 years. So is the president right to take him out?
No, you're right about the Ayatollah. He was a brutal dictator. This is a murderous regime. But at the same time, it posed no imminent threat of attack to the United States.
That's what we got. We got War Powers Act invocations, no imminent threat. You have to talk to Congress, even though we're just going to dither. We don't really want to do anything, that sort of thing. Your response to the no imminent threat argument?
Well, as a guy who knows lots of people that have died because of Iran, I would say they have been a threat for a long time. We have been at war with Iran for a long time by their choice. The Beirut barracks bombing, I knew Marines who died there. I know other Marines who served there and helped pick up the pieces of their buddies there. The roadside improved IEDs that were used in Iraq all came from Iran. I'm sorry, they don't get the protection of international law. They are a criminal organization, a criminal regime doing terrorist activities around the world. They're getting exactly what they deserved. They are ideological true believers to the point of trying to kick off, their little fringe part of Shia Islam's apocalypse. They were and are an imminent threat to the United States as they stand. And I'm sorry, I wouldn't have talked to Adam Schiff about it either beforehand, because he would have immediately announced, like John Kerry did, that this was coming and put more people at risk. Those guys are all security risks. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar were security risks. There was no way they should have been consulted ahead of time. The Big Eight was notified, and just as the War Powers Act, as it's developed, has used as a standard. And no, he doesn't have to get Congress's permission to do an attack like this. This isn't a war. This is a set of operations to remove a threat to the United States. If Adam Schiff didn't think they were a threat, he is even dumber than I thought he was.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. And don't underestimate how dumb Adam Schiff is, Stephen. That's the mistake you made. Stephen,
I stand corrected.
Yeah. Stephen, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Take care. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you next week.
You too. And Stephen joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560.